Hello, Internet. It's time for an offbeat Wednesday serial thing. I got the PullList TAG thing. Due to popular request, I'm going to have a shirt on. It's all gonna be okay. The first and way longest question is, what is on your current monthly pull list? This is kind of always a little bit in flux, so I'm just kind of go through what's been on or near on recently. And yeah, so I'm just going to start running through roughly alphabetical order, and you'll see kind of how out of sorts I am with some of my recent comics due to a few X factors going on. The first is Afterlife with Archie. I don't know how or why I got tucked into this book by the community, and I'm enjoying it. I'm personally hoping it runs for a while, but not forever. I mean, 2 years max. Make sure it's always good. I don't want, once there's a bad issue, this could all easily fall apart, but if you haven't checked it out, check it out. It's pretty cool. Next up is Atomic Robo, which, you know, people... this last one wasn't as great, but really go check out some of the old stuff. There's just some great comics there. And then there's also Atomic Real Science Adventures. I have just recently dropped this. I just thought I'd mention that. It's just... yeah. As you all know, I'm picking up Batman. As long as Scott Snyder is going to be in this book, so am I. I keep finding little things that I like more about the way his take on Batman is than a lot of other people seem to appreciate. And sometimes it takes me a couple weeks. Even when I've been more negative on this, reading more into it in Zero Year, I'm coming back and seeing that I like that more than what's going on in like the other Bat books I tend to be reading. So, I don't know. And then there's Batman and Robin, or Batman and whomever. I am enjoying it, but not as much. I'm really curious about Batman and Aquaman, but if something doesn't really hook me there, I'm realizing it's a good book, but I don't enjoy it maybe as much as I should month to month. I don't know. I feel like this is maybe fading a little on me. Batgirl, I'm collecting right now. This is another book I'm thinking about dropping. Maybe. I don't know. Then there's Batwoman. I just recently dropped this. Creator change sucked. Alright. Ever present, there is Chew. I will ride this book till the day it dies. If you haven't been picking up Chew, go back. I mean, it's a book you really kind of need to start reading. It's its own deal. It's pretty crazy, but great comics. This was kind of at the forefront of New Image. This predates, Saga and stuff, and is really crazy creative. It's also really good at being a great story and being funny, and comics could use more of that, a little to the roots. Daredevil. A good book. With the switch over and everything, I might be switching to buying Daredevil in trades due to the price hike. It's just, it becomes good. And honestly, being totally up on Daredevil isn't as important to me as some other books, because Daredevil's good. It is. And everybody kind of goes around saying that with Mark Waid on the book. And it totally is. It's just, I don't know. I don't get as much of a thrill reading it month to month as much as I'm just reading it. Deadpool. My boy, Deadpool. This new run's been the best Deadpool's been since, well, there was a reason. But, I'm really liking this book. If you've ever been curious about Deadpool, I don't know quite where I'd put you on this, because where it's a good run, none of it is the best Deadpool stuff. And, pointing you to some of the Deadpool classic trades, which, whereas they are expensive, they are pretty bulky, and if you find them on a discount comic site, tend to be better. But anyways, I'm totally picking that up. Night of the Living Dead is the Cullen Bunn Deadpool stuff, which I really liked, all of it up until this miniseries, which isn't doing it for me, because despite Afterlife with Archie, I'm really kind of over zombies. But if you really like The Walking Dead, I'd really suggest picking up this issue, because there's probably some yucks for you that you wouldn't get anywhere else. But if these Bun minis don't pick up after this one for me, I might leave this chapter of Deadpool behind. We'll see. Ghosted, a great image book, something that does the whole heist thing and the whole supernatural thing, which are books that I generally don't jump on so hot, but pulling them together and does something really smart. This is just a great book. Green Arrow. Honestly, I keep going back and forth on this. This is one of my two favorite DC books right now. I don't think this book could be doing any better, and I still have some gripes about it. It's not the old Green Arrow, and we gave up something with the old character, and they are doing some stuff to tie it in with the show, which sucks, but the good far outweighs the bad. If you like comics, if you're a fan of comic layouts, honestly, this book is totally worth picking up. Sorrentino art on this book is really what makes it sing. I know people who liked iVampire might pick it up for that, but I honestly feel his work in Green Arrow is infinitely stronger. Oh my gosh. Okay. Green Team, I dropped this. Don't read it if you have the chance. Harley Quinn has been coming out of nowhere and being an interesting book. I still haven't totally got a grasp or an opinion on this. I feel like this has been a fun book for the issues that they are, but I feel like it could also drop out at any second. Any creator change could take me off the book just as easily. Hawkeye, I keep on keeping on with this book, even though I don't always love it. But there's something special going on here, and something about, honestly, super heroics, despite the fact that it's a dialed-back book, that keeps me coming back, because the heart is in the right place with it. Kick-Ass 3, there's only a few issues left, but I'm going to write it out. I don't know why. I'm not big on Mark Miller, but Kick-Ass works for me, and I never read the Hit Girl thing, so I should probably go read that. Anyways, Movement. I'm probably going to read one more issue, then I'm done. Boom. Lazarus. This is a perplexing book. I will see if I keep reading it. I think I don't buy it as much for me. Alright, and Rachel Rising is amazing. Just Terry Moore is an impossibly talented creator. How can you not follow his work? Yeah. Red Hood and the Outlaws. New creators coming on, but chances are by the time I get to him, I'm going to be so burned out after this run that I might just drop it anyways. But he has a hope and a prayer for me to continue, and I'm sure that that's the reason that they make books, is for me, so whatever. Saga, of course, I'm going to keep getting this. Even when people don't like it as much, I keep really enjoying it. What am I going to say? It's Saga. Read it. Scarlet. I love this book. I have it on my pull list because it, like, 2 issues come out a year anymore. It's the only book with Bendis' name on it that I enjoy, and I don't know if anyone else could write it, so I'm glad he does it. When he does it, I wish he'd drop, whatever it took to drop for him to get to this book and do it more regularly. It wouldn't even have to be monthly. It would just have to be, like he's actually working on it. Ninja Turtles, I love. Yeah. And then there's always the Turtles B-book, whatever it is that month. That's always on my poll. It's an ever-changing title. I don't know. And then there's my other favorite DC book, which is Wonder Woman. I'm writing this till this arc is over, and even then we'll see what happens next. And I don't think that's for a while yet. And then another crazy awesome book is Zero, and I really enjoy that. Oh, and it's not really a subscription thing, but Burn the Orphanage is amazing. If you guys haven't read this, it's only 3 issues. It's a blast. So yeah. So what's the strongest book on my pull? No question for me, that is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Since it's come back, it has consistently pretty much been my favorite book on the shelves. I think there's been some lapses with the art, but right now they have a really strong creative team on it. The The story manages to be big and small at the same time. Things intertwined. Each issue has an amazing beat. Each arc has an amazing story. And when you combine the whole thing, it really crafts an epic tale so far that is, in my mind, fairly unparalleled, especially amongst recent comics. This is how you do a serialization. This is how you do a comic book, and it's crazy to me. And also, as a longtime Turtle fan, there's all kinds of call-outs and references and everything that just I enjoy. It's just, this is an amazing book. And I've had some people pick it up. In particular, the person who tagged me with this, Sleepy Reader, has started picking up just in the last 2 issues, and it's, like I said before, quiet time in the book. It's time to reflect and kind of let the characters have their moment and give some breath and some motivation, so when the action does hit again, it's going to have all the much more impact. I find it funny that he's able to come on at this point, which is really a lull in the story and the book and the pacing, and he finds that so much stronger than the initial some issues. So I don't know, and it's weird to me, and so maybe the best place to pick it up isn't the first issue. Who knew? But yeah, definitely. So what is the weakest book on my pull and why? And for me, that's a really easy question to answer right now, and that is Lazarus. The reason is whereas this is an interesting book that sets up a very interesting political question, clearly born out of kind of the 1% idea, and the fact that it really is at its heart kind of a political commentary, but trying to frame it in a way that is also a science fiction, also raises some questions about people there, I almost feel like. The problem is the entire thing's stilted. Society's at a point where it's like everyone versus like, you know, like one family of people for every, you know, so often. It's just, the numbers don't work. People revolt. I mean, I know there's been regimes and stuff in the past, but the idea of this being where it is and how it is, it just doesn't function. It doesn't make any sense. The logic of the book crumbles under its own weight in my mind, and for that, it just, every time I read it, I'm like, so why is not everybody killing the main characters so that they can get at the rest? It just doesn't make any sense to me. So yeah, I mean, I could go into a bit more, but it's just, it's a bad setup. So when I was going through, I kind of already answered the next question, but it was, what are you considering dropping and why? And I kind of wanted to talk about these. They obviously share a link, and that's the main writer, Gail Simone, and she has typically been one of my favorite creators, but man, these books. So Batgirl in particular is what I want to talk about. Clearly a book that has been marginalized and its momentum murdered by constant DC bad events that it really has no need to tie into. I still have never quite gotten over the fact that we lost Oracle and that Batgirl is just being Batgirl again, and she never grew up, and it's almost like all that stuff never happened. It's something that sits in the back of my mind, because when I entered DC, it was through the Birds of Prey at the time, which had Oracle leading everything like that. It's just a fixture in my mind, and it just doesn't really work for me still. And the fact is, this character is not doing anything that if you put anybody else into the costume would have been more interesting, except for the play with her and her father, and they're never going to really broach that because it would be such a big conundrum. They'd have to renege on it anyways and all that. Like, bring back Cassandra Cain, put someone new in. Like, there's no reason for Barbara Gordon to be Batgirl. Barbara as Batgirl isn't doing anything, and it's holding this book back from being what it could be. And that is really just one word: interesting. This book has lost all my interest because there isn't really a through line. It's just kind of things happen, and then there's a supervillain to deal with, and it kind of ultimately doesn't really matter. And maybe it can win me back in the next couple of issues, but something needs to happen. Something needs to click. Something needs to move, because we've had a lot of promise for what this book where it was going to go, and then they just kind of switch on you last minute right back to the status quo. And I understand that's how a lot of comics work, but in this case, for whatever reason, I find it infinitely more annoying. And then the movement, I bring this up because this issue in particular plays with something where there's an Oracle-like character, and Batgirl's staring at her, and the Oracle character gets all, tons of people have wheelchairs, like, chill out, and you know that there's something else going on there. But it's just like echoes of the past, and this book really reads like a bad Wildstorm comic, and it's not going anywhere either. I can't make sense of anything. The character that's supposed to be the comedy character just comes off to annoying to me. I don't know. I think my tastes have changed a bit, and moving on from these books is kind of a way to address that, and I just need to find something different so I can be reading things that are going to appeal to me now. I don't know. So what have I considered adding, and why? I don't know where you all are at. I have spent some time and some reading trying to get more into the Lanterns, and I'm going to do some again soon. I bought most of the Jeff Johns New 52 run, so I'm going to read that and kind of go from there. I want to read it, but this week, as a lot of you saw, I just couldn't get into it issue by issue where they're at now, so it might be a trade thing, so it wouldn't really be on the pull. The only thing I can say for certain is when The Amazing Spider-Man comes back, I will be back on that, as promised. But beyond that, I keep trying Image books, and a lot of them just aren't really ringing with me. I want to try some other things. I really wish that other companies put stuff out, because I feel weird really only buying from 3 companies, but IDW isn't really even trying to do stuff outside of Property Comics, it seems like. Dark Horse has the Magnolaverse, but I've heard about a couple of things. Maybe that would be worth trying out. Maybe if I heard a thing or two to at least even have the titles in my head, that would help. A lot of what I'm trying to do, though, is actually maybe cut back a bit more on my pull, because I've been finding there's some more, not way older, not like Golden Age or anything, but some older comics that I want to look at. For instance, someone in my shop recommended to me that I read Meta Barons, which is this crazy adaptation from a Dune script by this Italian guy that was translated. And I want to read that, but the collection of it is like $60. Maybe you can find it discounted. Like, it's... I kind of... my tastes are leading me to more expensive and different ways. And I want to try more alternate comics, because I want to be more in that scene, but I end up not liking a lot of it. So then I usually come back. And I usually start that at the beginning of the year and then end up right back where we are. So we'll see. So yeah. So that's my pull list for now. Like I said, it's almost an ever-changing thing. I want to tag Reader1717, and I'll try tagging MinutiaMinute to see if we can get him to do another video since he reappeared. Also, because who knows what he's reading nowadays. So yeah. I will catch you all sometime with something. Maybe I'll talk about teacups.